In 2016, Prime Minister Modi announced during a speech at Bareilly that his government would double the farmers' income by 2022. Is this a controversial statement? Should any farmer object to this statement? No. As the famous saying, at least once in your lifetime you will need a doctor, a lawyer, a policeman, and a preacher, but every day, 3 times a day, you need a farmer. Government's intent, therefore, may not be doubted. Experts and successive governments had found that the agriculture economy of the country needed a change. Let us see why. In New Zealand, if potatoes are sold at Rs 40 a kg, the farmer gets approximately Rs 25 out of it. In India, for the same sale price, the farmer gets only Rs 6. At one end of the spectrum are poor farmers who are exploited by the big farmers, government officials, and the local politicians. At the other end of the spectrum are rich or big farmers, especially from Punjab, Haryana, and western Uttar Pradesh, who have become rich by availing major portion of subsidies offered by the government. This difference in living standards needs to be addressed. Crop pattern in India is not evolving because there is no motivation to grow plants for which there is no subsidy provided. There is little incentive for innovation, agricultural science and research, which in the long term are expected to pay rich dividends to the farming economy of the country. Despite having surplus grains, it does not reach some poor citizens on time, and cases of suicides are often heard. Almost the entire blame for the above issues goes to subsidies provided by the government in the distribution system and the ensuing corruption. The first subsidy is the APMC. APMC Act was brought in to stop exploitation of farmers prior to 1960s by the zamindars, who would give loans to farmers at a very high rate of interest, and when the farmer would default in payment, they would reach the farmer's harvesting point and forcefully buy the produce at very low price against adjustment of their loans. After the act, APMC, also called Sabzi Mandi or Bazar Samiti or Krishi Samiti, became the only area where a farmer could sell his produce. This was the area where trade was facilitated by presence of farmers, traders and middlemen called arthyas. With time, arthyas and traders started resorting to cartelization. Thereby, farmers faced exploitation as they had no option to sell anywhere else other than the APMC. Farm Law 2020 Act 1 gave the farmers options to sell their produce at APMC or at any of the other trade areas like farm gates, that is gates of their own farmhouses, godowns, warehouses, etc. They could sell their produce anywhere, intra or interstate. They could even sell online. To ensure that state governments do not dilute the centre's intent, no taxes were to be levied at these new trade areas. Lastly, any dispute resolution would have to be dealt at the SDM or the DM level, who were required to adjudicate matter in a time-bound manner. This provision was given so that farmers were not forced to spend countless trips to the courts in long-drawn battles. Please note that APMC system was not closed. You may say that the 2020 system proposed the combination of the pre-1960 and post-1960 systems. Second subsidy was MSP and FCI. In 1964, so as to become self-sufficient in food, government came out with another 2 subsidies called Minimum Support Price or MSP and Food Corporation of India Godowns. MSP is the price that the central government lays down every year for 22 plus 1, that is 23 food items. Plus 1 because the 23rd item is sugarcane, for which there is an equivalent fair remunerative price. This is the minimum price below which no produce can be sold at APMC. For three items, rice, wheat and coarse grains, the government also assures procurement of all produce into the Food Corporation of India godowns. Thus, the farmers were encouraged to grow these crops, with farmers giving top priority to rice, wheat and coarse grains and next priority to crops for which MSP was laid down, and only as a last priority to crops not on list of MSP. Like no fruit or vegetable is ever in the list of MSP. This led to wastages of the three grains and deficiency of those items not on MSP list, and adversely affected the crop pattern in the country. It also decreased the water table as rice and wheat cultivation consumed lot of water. This was also responsible for stubble burning, resulting in air pollution because the farmers did not have enough time between harvesting one crop and cultivating the next time, and as a result resorted to quickest and cheapest methods to dispose stubble, that is by burning. Farm Laws 2020 aimed to bridge the gap between demand and supply, thus remove wastages and deficiencies, and also remove the apprehension from the farmer on whether or not he would be able to sell the produce. It does not close FCIs and neither does it abolish MSP. Let us see the provisions of Act 2 in detail. Through the Act 2, government has given provisions to the farmer to do contracts with the sponsor and grow crops as per the pre-existing demand. Second part of the Act was made to protect farmers from being exploited by the sponsors. Centre is free to make model contracts or issue guidelines. Price fixing mechanism caters to unforeseen situations for the farmers. Let us say the contract was made for 1000 kgs of potatoes at Rs 20 a kg. After harvest, the market rate or rate at APMC becomes Rs 30 a kg. Farmer would be at a loss. To safeguard his interests, the contracts can either be made on a fixed price or flexible price, where a minimum assured price or MAP is agreed, and if the market price at harvest is more than the MAP, then a certain percentage could be agreed as the extra price which the sponsor would need to pay. Payments are to be made partly in advance and balanced within 3 days of delivery. Farmers' land will not be part of the agreement so as to ensure that the farmer's land is always protected from being lost. Further, any structures erected on the farm by the sponsor will need to be dismantled at delivery, failing which the structure would become the property of the farmer. Registration of contracts will be done under state government. Force majeure clause was included in the agreement in favor of the farmer. For example, if there was a natural calamity like a declared famine, then the farmer cannot be penalized for delay in delivery. Penalties has been kept at 1.5 times the contracted value for sponsors, but for farmers it is restricted to actual expense incurred by the sponsor. Aggregators can be made a party to the contract. Farm service providers like agriculture experts or scientists could also be made party to the contract. Act 3. To have a control on essential commodities like food, Nehru government in 1955 brought in the Essential Commodities Act. This ensured that storing or hoarding of essential commodities is not permitted by private players beyond a laid down limit. After the 2020 Acts, there will be warehouse owners, food processing units, exporters, etc., who would need to store food items in some appreciable quantity. The old Act would prevent them from doing so. Therefore, Essential Commodities Act 1955 was amended to permit storage of those items whose supply is sufficient, subject to extraordinary circumstances like war, famine, or a natural calamity. However, whenever there is extraordinary price rise, that is perishables by 100% from last 5 years average and non-perishables by 50% from last 5 years average, no storage is permitted. Since this was a supportive act to support Act 1 and 2, there has not been much protest against Act 3. With this, we come to the end of part 1. In the next part, we would see the merits and demerits of these acts, the agitation, the repeal, and suggest some ways for the government to bring in changes in important industries like agriculture. Thank you.